From the Darkness Brightly is an interactive multimedia experience that is controlled by the stars in outer space. The main audio track is a piece of music created by converting recorded electromagnetic waves into sound waves. In real time, data is pulled in from a spreadsheet concerning the distance and magnitude of many different stars from various depths of space. These numbers are then scaled within Max to control a set of variables. For example, the further away from Earth the star is, the greater the amount of reverb is applied. The brighter the star, the higher the frequencies that are passed through a filter. A visual element accompanies and complements the auditory experience as it is manipulated through the same variable parameters. Part of my max patch is this key select section, which basically just means that when you press the spacebar on your laptop, then it will activate this toggle, which also then sends signals to the audio and video channels so that everything in the patch starts at the same time. This toggle can also be pressed in presentation mode, and it starts the process of reading the data. So you press the read button first to find the data from your computer, and then it collects everything together, and each row of the data can be seen in this message box here, but I unpack it into two separate channels. So there's the distance of the star from Earth and the magnitude or brightness of that star. It iterates through the data using a metron counter object, and once the toggle is turned off, the select object receives the 0 signal, which then resets the counter so that every time you start the patch, it starts on the first row of the data. It resets. Once these are unpacked into two separate channels, I then normalize the data so that the numbers are easier to work with before sending them out to the audio and video sections. So the distance controls the blur of the video, so the further away the star, the more blurred the image is, as well as the reverb, so the further away the star, the more reverb is applied. The magnitude controls the brightness of the video, so how bright the image is, as well as a filter. So the brighter the star, the higher the frequencies that are passed through the filter. Once they've been normalized and sent over here to the audio section, I then scale the values to numbers that are appropriate to the effects. So for the reverb, I scale it and it goes into two separate reverbs so that it is stereo. And then the filter, I apply a frequency sweep. So instead of just jumping from each new frequency with each new row of data, the current value is packed into an object, but then it's also stored in this message box, which is then passed through one metro bang afterwards. And so these are packed together in this message box. So it's the old frequency becomes the current frequency, and then the current value becomes the aim frequency. So over that metro beat, through a randomly generated period of time, it will go from the old value to the new value, and the new value will then be passed down here and become the old value. So it's constantly sweeping through, and it's passed through this line object. So the filter is constantly sweeping and kind of undulating through the frequencies instead of a dramatic change with each metro beat. I also included a fade in and fade out section. So with the select object, when the toggle is on, then it's sends a bang out to this box. So there's a 10 millisecond fade in, but then when the toggle is off, there's a 10-second fade out. And once the line object completes the sweep, it then sends a signal to the reverb decay to reset it, so that when you then restart the patch, then there's no kind of reverb continuing on from the last time. The last section is this video segment, and again I received the same values as the audio channel, but here the blur of the video is just 1, 2, or 3. So I just scale it from 1, 2, or 3. And the brightness, I chose to only go down to 0.75 just because if you went any further down, the colours started to become way too far away from the original. So it was just a kind of compositional choice for it to go between 0.75 to 1. And there's also the way that the image is blurred and is set as diagonal, so it's kind of equal across the whole image, but you can also manually change it yourself, but it will initially start as the way I intend it to be. There's also presentation mode for the patch, which is just the video itself, and also the toggle. So if you want to manually press the toggle to start it, you can, but there's also instructions to press spacebar to begin. And when you lock the patch, the background goes black, and you can tell that the patch is on because the toggle colours kind of match the colours of the video.